And I'm not giving excuses for 2K. I am not in the least trying to give any excuses for 2K. But the fact is that it is a business. So they need to cater somewhat to the casual gamer, especially being that the player base is not going to be nearly as high because of the limitation of of next gen console. As far as the business aspect, I understand why 2K may have catered to the casual gamer and left us competitive gamers who really want to see balanced gameplay. They left us on the back burner for 2K21 on next gen. It's unfortunate, but if you do love basketball and you want to kind of live vicariously through 2K on next gen, then sometimes we just got to do what we do for the love of basketball, not for the love of 2K. Hey, what's up, YouTube? You already know I'm AllCity with AllCityLiveTV.com, and thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about why is the defense nerfed so heavily on NBA 2K21 for next gen. We're going to give you guys some reasons and help you understand why the defense was so heavily nerfed for next gen out there. Everybody knows that defense is like really suffering on next gen, and we want to understand why 2K made the decision to nerf defense. We've had previous iterations of 2K where the defense was really dominant, where we had perimeter lockdowns out there going crazy, where they could shoot and play tremendous amounts of defense, but they were limited in their playmaking. So something is really off with 2K21 for next gen, and I think this has to do with, listen, if the game was really built from the ground up, then 2K would have known to incorporate a better system for defense. But it seems like the devs, at least this is my personal opinion, it seems like the devs just don't have an understanding of what a defensive breakdown actually is. And you can witness this if you play My Career, and 2K just does not get defensive breakdowns, and I'm going to tell you guys the reasons why. Because a defensive breakdown is really when there's like a failed rotation. This happens way before a shot is made. So 2K needs to kind of incorporate that into the makeup of 2K21 for next gen and future iterations of 2K as well, because if they understood defensive breakdowns, then they would understand when to reward the offense. But instead, it seems like they kind of penalize the defense and consistently reward the offense, and that doesn't make for a balanced type of game. Basketball is about defense and offense. It's not just offense. So they should have understood that a defensive breakdown happens beforehand, and when that defensive breakdown actually happens and you have a shooter wide open, then the boost for that shot should go up tremendously. But unfortunately, that's not the case. In other words, matter of fact, it's quite the opposite. When you're out there and you get like an open shot, it feels like wide open shots are much more difficult to hit out there. It feels like if you're off the dribble or off a Curry slide, you're able to hit your shots that you need to make out there. But otherwise, if you're wide open, it seems like it's just more difficult. And this is not something that I'm personally used to as a 2K player. I remember a time when you were wide open, you were rewarded for being wide open like that. And it was almost a guaranteed knockdown. Although I do hit open shots, I'm not saying that I can't hit an open shot. I'm just saying that it seems a little bit more difficult. And that to me really speaks volumes on the development team, because they just don't understand defensive breakdown, when to reward the offense, when to reward the defense. I'm not trying to knock. I think this encourages like team gameplay, and I'm not trying to knock ISO players out there. But if defense was like more balanced, then like offensive players and ISO heads and people like that would be forced to make better decisions out there. I like what 2K did with like the passing nerf and how you need the bullet passer badge to kind of, and you also need a good amount of pass accuracy, but you need that bullet passer badge to really make good passes out there. Outside of that, your pass is tremendously slow. I do gotta say that when you equip a badge like the bullet passer and you see the tremendous difference with incorporating that badge into your game from not having it to having it like on Hall of Fame, you see a tremendous difference in your pass speed and pass accuracy. It's a huge and noticeable difference, but there's a ton of other badges that don't create that difference from not having a badge to putting it up to Hall of Fame. There's a ton of badges out there that don't, and that's what I don't like about the imbalance of badges. I think they need to make sure that each badge has the same effect. So if you don't have Interceptor on and you equip it at Hall of Fame, you should no longer get these weird animations where you're grasping at you're just grasping in thin air, like there's nothing there, and you're going for a pass interception. It's a whole like hand stuck animation that you cannot control, and that should not happen when you equip a badge. From when you don't have a badge and then you equip it to Hall of Fame, it should kind of limit those animations. 2K, we're not saying get rid of the animations, but reward defense just as much as you reward offense. It's not that difficult. Understand what a defensive breakdown actually is. It's not when you're in a person's face and you're contested or you're stuck by a Curry slide. You gotta understand that if we put like ankle braces on Hall of Fame, we should not get hit with a Curry slide or feel like we're stuck in the mud. I did drop a defensive tutorial with some great tips from the homie It's Baked, because he dropped a great tip video and I went out there and put his tips to the test because they really helped me. But if you guys really want to like understand better mechanics for defense, go check that video out. We also got to understand the business aspect of this, because 2K did try to make things a little bit more difficult for the offense on current gen. If you guys don't remember, when current gen released, it was really difficult to hit a shot. Like you could not even knock down a wide open shot if you didn't have any badges, despite having a super high mid-range and a super high three-point shot. It was very difficult to knock down shots, so the community complained. So 2K takes that feedback, and I don't know who they actually, because we actually like the difficulty and the skill gap between like a person who didn't have a badge and somebody who really grinded to get their badges. We enjoyed that and we like that type of challenge, but the casual gamer does not necessarily like that challenge or have time to grind badges out. And this is where 2K, listen, understand this, man, because there's not as much of a player base for 2K21 on next gen. And I'm not giving excuses for 2K. I am not in the least trying to give any excuses for 2K, but the fact is that it is a business, so they need to cater somewhat to the casual gamer, especially being that the player base is not going to be nearly as high because of the limitation of of next gen consoles. So it's not going to be nearly as high as previous versions of 2K, although they did set a ton of records. It's difficult for them because they would have had a larger player base, so they know that they need to cater slightly to the casual gamer, and the casual gamer really wants to see good offense, or at least a good majority of casual gamers really are like offensive minded over defensive minded. This is why a lot of players don't even understand very basic defensive mechanics. All they really understand is put the ball in the hoop. So this is why you see like the defense feels nerfed on 2K21 for next gen, and I believe that next versions of 2K, they may make that adjustment when we have an increase in the player base, more people with more next gen consoles. So they may make that adjustment, but this is a little dramatic. I do gotta say that 2K21 for next gen is a little dramatic. I think they should make some defensive adjustments to help us play better defense out there. I thought it was really good in the beginning. I thought the defense was fairly balanced. I didn't mind getting dunked on too much. I liked that the offense was getting rewarded and the defense was also getting rewarded, but now it's getting just a little bit too out of hand. I think that defense needs to get a huge buff for NBA 2K21 for next gen. I think defensive players should get rewarded, especially being that they don't get nearly as much rep and their badges are much harder to grind. And I'm talking about more perimeter type of players. centers and things of that nature, players like this that play in the paint have it a little bit easier because they get rebounds and good shot contests and things like that. So they're able to boost up their badges fairly easy, as opposed to like a perimeter lockdown, who is a little bit more difficult to get in passing lanes and get them steals out there, especially on next gen. So as far as the business aspect, I understand why 2K may have catered to the casual gamer and left us competitive gamers who really want to see balanced gameplay. They left us on the back burner for 2K21 on next gen. And it is what it is. You got to go out there and kind of make the best of it. It's unfortunate, but if you do love basketball and you want to kind of live vicariously through 2K on next gen, then sometimes we just got to do what we do for the love of basketball, not for the love of 2K. I hope you guys found this video helpful and or informative, and if you did, please consider hitting that like button. If you're looking to run with a great community of 2K players, consider joining us on Discord, as we have a large community of players that share a ton of information, always helpful and always willing to run. Don't forget to drop a sub too, we would greatly appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Easy, y'all.